Hello guys, greetings and welcome to the continuation of our AWS series. In our today's program, we are going to be looking at virtual private cloud. So this is one of the most important parts of the AWS. So we are going to be looking at our agenda for today. And for today, we are going to be talking about the virtual private cloud. We want to know what is actually VPC. We cannot start talking about VPC without actually knowing what is VPC. Then we are going to enter into how to calculate IP addresses inside a VPC. We are going to look at what a subnet is. We know that there are two types of subnet. We have a public subnet and then we have a private subnet. So today we are going to look at what a subnet is, what a public subnet is, and what a private subnet is. Then we are going to take a glance at an internet gateway. What is an internet gateway? We are going to look at it. And then we are going to look at a route table. What is a route table? And after we look at a route table, if time permits, we can look at a NAT gateway. And if we look at a NAT gateway, then I think we have covered a quite chunk of content for you to assimilate. So without wasting much of your time, let's get started. Now, whenever you want to create your EC2 instance, up until now, whenever you want to create your EC2 instance, you just go to your AWS console and you create your instance, right? Whenever you want to create your AWS instance, you just come to your AWS instance and then you start creating your instance here. And also, this is what you always do. Just come here and then you create your instance. Okay, now I want to introduce the concept of VPC to you. Generally, when you create your instance, you always do it inside a VPC. There is a VPC that is provided for you, that AWS provides for you, and that is a default VPC. Okay, right up to now you have not known that because you did not understand the complexity of it. But in real time, in your companies, in the industry, whenever you will be creating any resources in the cloud, you are going to do it inside a VPC. So what is a VPC? Now consider AWS as a pool. AWS is an ocean. AWS is an ocean where you have EC2 instance, you have maybe route table buckets, you have maybe any type, name all the resources in AWS that you know. You have everything. Everything is just floating in AWS like that. Everything is floating. Okay, now as everything is floating, you cannot go and you really want to build a solution. You really want to build an architecture. What is an architecture? An architecture is actually connecting this one to this one, connecting this one to this one, connecting this one to this one, doing all the connection to build an architecture. That is an architecture. When they say you are an architect, we know of architecture as somebody who builds a house. Okay, so with AWS, when they talk of architect, it is somebody who can take these resources in AWS like this and build something Okay, so what is a VPC? A VPC is just a fence that you are going to create. VPC is a fence that you are going to create, and then inside this fence you are going to be putting your EC2 instance inside. You are going to be putting your route tables inside. You are going to be putting all your resources will be inside this fence, so that your resources should be protected. Okay, so consider AWS as a sea, an ocean. Okay, and then when you enter that ocean, you have to first of all secure your own boundaries. A VPC, virtual private cloud. It is virtual, it is your own. It is a virtual private cloud. Private, it is private to you. Okay, so when you go to AWS, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to create a virtual private cloud, where inside that virtual private cloud now, you are going to be creating your resources. Is that very clear? So the first thing you should understand is that in real life, all resources are created inside private cloud. Your resources are created inside a protected private cloud. Your EC2 instances are placed inside a protected cloud. Your databases are placed inside a protected private cloud. Okay, so that is a VPC. All right. Now, generally, a VPC is made up of subnets. Let's keep IP addresses for now. A VPC is made up of subnets. Okay, there are two types of subnets. We have the private subnet. This is some sort of like this. You have a private subnet. That means it is a subsection inside a VPC, and then you have a public subnet. Why do we have these two types? Okay, we know that there are two types of EC2 instances or nodes that play different functions. The first EC2 instance can be a general public server. We have some sort of a public server that is placed here, that anybody from the internet can have access to that server. It is where our website is giving access to, right? This particular type of a server is placed in the public subnet. It's placed in the public subnet. And then we have our databases. Our database is something that should never be placed inside a public subnet where any Jack and Jill can have access to. No, our databases are placed inside private subnet. Okay, our database can be a normal EC2 instance. It can be a managed database. They should be placed inside a private subnet. Okay, so this is a public subnet and this is a private subnet. This one, normal internet facing servers can be placed here where they have nothing, and then here, this is where the magic happens. This is where your resources are placed. Here like this, there is no direct internet access from the outside. Nobody have access to this subnet from outside. Nobody can directly get to this subnet like this. Nobody. It is not possible. In order to get to this subnet, we are going to see how you can get to this subnet. So look, this is a picture of what AWS presents to us as here we have AWS. The first circle, the big circle, is AWS because there are so many clouds. You can see GCP, there is Azure. So up here there's AWS, and then inside here the second circle is the region. So you are going to choose which region you are deploying your application to. You choose AWS, you enter AWS, you choose the region where you want to deploy your application to. You choose that region, and then inside that region you are going to create a VPC. Inside that region you are going to create a VPC, and inside that VPC, right, there is going to be some sort of a network access control. Okay, there's a network access control. We are going to see what is a network access control list. It's called a NAC. Okay, and then within that you're going to have a private subnet, a public subnet, and a private subnet. Okay, this is how their structure will be. This is how your architecture will always be. And then inside your private or your public subnet, you are going to have your EC2 instances and your database. This is how it always works. This is the way the structure always looks like. Okay, so you are not going to be creating your EC2s and allowing them to be floating in the air just the way you have been creating your EC2s like that. No, you are not going to be doing that. Before you create your EC2 instance, you have to go to AWS. You have to sign into your account. You have to go to a particular region. Here is where the regions are. You select your region from here. You have to select your region from here, have to go to any particular region. You select your region from there. After going to that region, you have now to create a VPC, right? Create a VPC. Okay, that's what we are going to be doing right now. We are going to be creating a VPC. After we create a VPC, we are going to create subnets inside that VPC, right? We are going to create a subnet inside that VPC, and then we are going to connect certain things inside the VPC. Let's see what we are going to be connecting within the VPC. We have the first thing that we are going to connect to the VPC is an internet gateway. What is an internet gateway? This is what we call an internet gateway, guys. This is an internet gateway. An internet gateway is a resource in AWS that gives you access to the internet. Without an internet gateway, you can never have access to the internet. So if they ask you what resource gives you access to the internet, it is an internet gateway. You see, this is the internet out here. Okay, the only thing that gives access to the internet is an internet gateway. Okay, so when you create your VPC, if you create your VPC without putting an internet gateway, these machines like this, they will never have internet access. They will never have internet access. So the moment you create your VPC, the first thing you should think of is, I want an internet gateway created. Okay, that's the very first thing you think of. You have to create an internet gateway. Immediately after you create an internet gateway, there is a second thing that you are going to create. You're going to create a route table. This is it here. We talked about an internet gateway, and then we talked about a route table. Okay, what is a route table? A route table is a resource in AWS that decides where your internet flow goes. Okay, a route table decides where your internet flow goes. So when you have your internet gateway connected to the internet, now the next thing is, this your internet gateway, where do you see it having access to any of these connections? No. So your internet gateway can only connect to a route table. There will be some sort of a route table here. There will be a route table here where your internet, let me see if I can have if I can show you the position of a route table. Did I make those notes? I think I have it somewhere. Okay, so this is how it works. You have your internet gateway here. So when your internet gateway receives internet access, it sends it to the route table. The route table is attached to a subnet, a public subnet, because it is a public subnet that receives internet access. So the moment there is internet access through your internet gateway, the internet gateway connects only to a route table. It does not connect directly to the subnet. No. So it is a route table that decides where that internet flow is going. And most often, you always associate your route table that are linked to your internet gateway to the public subnet. You cannot take a route table that is linked to an internet gateway and link it to a private subnet. No. You take a route table that is linked to an internet gateway and you link it to a public subnet. Okay, that is how it functions, guys. All right, let us go and start seeing practically how we create things. As we are going to be creating one by the other. Now there is this internet IP addresses. There is a little bit of mathematics here and a little bit of high learning curve here in the IP addresses. Let me explain to you the concept. Now look at something. Each time you want to create all these services, all these services like this, all of them have IP addresses. This one will have 1.1.1, 1.5.0. This one will have its own IP address. For maybe something 1.4.5. This one will have its own IP address, maybe 1.4.3 slash something slash 16, or no, slash maybe 32, something like that. All of them will have their own internet, their own IP addresses, all these resources. So when you create a computer in a private subnet, it is going to have an IP address. When you create anything inside here, it is going to have an IP address. Anything that you create inside here is going to have an IP address. Okay, so during the time you want to create your VPC, you are going to tell your VPC how many address this VPC is going to have. Okay, that means you are going to give a VPC what we call a CIDR. Take note of this word, CIDR. Okay, now when you give your VPC a CIDR is the total number of addresses that you have accorded to your VPC. Okay, the full meaning of CIDR is, I think, is class inter domain range. I think yeah, class inter domain range, something like that. You check it online. With the format in which you are going to give your CIDR to your VPC is where the mathematics enters. Okay, and we are going to take the mathematics very in a very simple way. Okay, now let's consider that you wanted this your VPC. The first question is, how many addresses can a VPC contain? A VPC can contain 256 times 256 addresses. So if you take let's prepare our calculator, because there will be a lot of calculations in this particular lesson. Let's ask ourselves, how many addresses can a VPC contain? And I said a VPC can contain 256 times 256 addresses. So if you have 256 times 256, we are going to have a total of 65,536. This is the number of addresses that you can give to your VPC. Okay, that is the total number of addresses that you can give to your VPC. How do we come to this total number? How do we come to the total number of addresses that you can give to your VPC? How do we arrive at this number? Now, in order to arrive at this number, we have a CIDR that we write. Take for example a CIDR of this nature. We have a CIDR of this nature. We have 10.20.0.0/16. Question. The question here is, okay, I have given this CIDR. How many addresses are contained inside this VPC by me giving this CIDR? I've given 10.28.0.0/16. I've given it like that. I just gave it in the air like that. I did not take it from anywhere. I just picked numbers randomly. But we'll see which numbers I picked randomly and which numbers I could not pick randomly. So I just picked numbers 10.28.0.0/16. Question is, I have given this CIDR here for this VPC, this very VPC. Question is, how many IP addresses will this VPC have? And take note, if you give small IP addresses and you are supposed to create so many resources, those resources will run short of IP addresses. Let's say I give my VPC 10 addresses and I'm creating 20 resources. It cannot work, because 20 resources inside a VPC which is having just 10 addresses, 10 IP addresses, will not go. So we still stand at the question, having this CIDR, how many VPCs, how many IP addresses have I provisioned inside here? The answer is I have provisioned 65,536. That is the number of IP addresses I have provisioned. Question again, how do I know that I have provisioned 65,536? The answer to that question is because I am putting what we call a net mask. This slash here is what we generally call a net mask. Okay, the slash is what we call a net mask. Okay, so this net mask here is what actually determine the number of VPCs that are inside this the number of IP addresses, sorry, that are inside this VPC, this net mask here. Okay, so it depends on the net mask that you put here that gives you the number of VPC. So you can pick any, these first two numbers, these two numbers can be anything. These first two numbers can be anything, but these second two numbers for VPC should be 00. It should be 00 for the VPC. The second two numbers, these first two numbers, you can pick any number, any figures of your liking, but this second two should be 00. And then now coming to the net mask, the net mask now is what, if you put 00 here, now the net mask will tell you the number of VPCs that you are going to, the number of IP addresses that you are going to have in this VPC. How do we come to that? We know that we are using what we call IPv4 VPCs. We are using IP version 4. All right, and IP version 4 is 32 bit. Okay, this is 32 bit there is a 32 bit file system that IPv4 is using. All right, so if I give 10.28.0.0/16, what I am saying is that this 16 here, I am going to take, what will happen is I will take 32 minus 16, right, which is going to give me 16. Okay, which is going to give me 16. And what will I do with this 16? I will then take 16 raised to the power 2. Okay, I'll take 16 raised to the power 2. When you talk of 16 raised to the power 2, what do we mean by that? If I talk of, let's say, let's come over here. If I talk of, it's my pen. If I talk of 16 raised to the power 2, what do I mean by 16 raised to the power 2? No, not 16 raised to the power 2, but sorry please, it is 2 raised to the power 16. Okay, 2 raised to the power 16, that is what it means. So when I take 32 minus 16, the answer gives me 16. Then I take 2 raised to the power 16. So my question is, when I take 2 raised to the power 16, how will I calculate this? This means that I am just going to take 2 times 2. Answer is 4, right? I take the first one. So this is what I'm going to have. I'm going to have something in this manner. 2 times 2, which will give me 4, right? Then I take now 2 times 24, which will give me 8. I take 2 times 8, which will give me 16. So I do this right down to 16. That means I do all this. This is 1. This first calculation is 1. This second calculation is 2. This second calculation is 3 until I reach 16. I do it 16 times. That means that is 2 raised to the power 16. And if you take 2 raised to the power 16, you are going to have that same number that we have. This same number, 65,536. Okay, that is how we arrive this number. Okay, so in order to arrive the number 65,215, you should give your VPC the net mask 16. So if I give my VPC a net mask of 24, question, I've given my VPC a net mask of 24. What will be the number of addresses that are going to be in my VPC? I've given it a net mask of 24. Instead of 16 here, I'll put 24. What will be the number of addresses that will be in my VPC? Simple. I take 32 minus 24. 32 minus 24, right? And if we have 32 minus 24, we're going to have 8. And if we take 2 raised to the power 8, right? If we take 2 raised to the power 8, let us go scientific. We take 2 raised to the power 8. We have 256 addresses. So if I give 24 here, the higher this number here, the smaller I am going to have my IP addresses. If I have a higher number here, so if I have 28 here, I'm going to have smaller IP address. If I have let's say 30, I'm going to have small IP address. The smaller the number, the higher my IP address. Okay, so that is how the CIDR works. So if you see a net mask here, from this net mask here, you can be able to tell how many addresses can contain that VPC. So whenever you see a net mask, the net mask here is simply telling you how many addresses are in that particular network. Okay, this net mask tells you how many addresses are in that particular network and how to calculate the number of addresses in that particular network. If it is an IPv4, you just take 32 minus this number here, and then you take 2 raised to the power of the answer. You will see the number of IP addresses that are found inside that net mask. Okay, I hope I tried my best to explain this. If you get confused, guys, leave a message below, and I will try to see how I can explain to you better. Okay, all right, let's go ahead and see how we can create our VPC. So in order to create a VPC, you just simply come to let's come to services. You type VPC here, VPC, and then you click on VPC. Now your VPC comes, you click on VPCs. You see, this is the one available VPC that has been available to you. This VPC is the one that has been helping you to create all your things. You have been creating all your things inside this default VPC without knowing. Okay, this is a VPC that has always been there. It is a default VPC. Never you delete this VPC, please. It is called default. It is there. It is written there, default. Never you delete this VPC. If you delete this VPC, nobody will be able to create his machines without the idea that he has to create a VPC, and then he gets access to that machine, internet access to it. So don't delete this VPC. So you are going to create your own VPC. Enter create. Now here you are going to take VPC only. VPC and more means you should create a VPC with all its content, but you start with VPC only. Let's create our first VPC is VPC -1. We are going to create VPC -1, and inside that VPC -1, you see they are asking for us our CIDR block. Okay, they are telling us that we should put our CIDR block. So here I am going to put the name of our VPC is, now this is real architecture, and if you don't write everything that you create, you might get lost. The name of our first VPC is VPC -1, and the first CIDR that I'm going to give to that VPC is 28.15.0.0/16. This tells me that I'm having the highest number of IP addresses that can be found inside that VPC. Copy my net mask, and then I come and paste under my CIDR block. Okay, the next thing I want to do is, that is all about creating VPC. Everything here is okay. Everything here is normal. You are fine. You just go to create VPC. Okay, your VPC has been created. What have we done? We have simply created this VPC here. All right, we have created this VPC. Okay, that's the first thing that we have created. The second thing we want to create is, we want to create the first public subnet. Okay, we'll keep NAC aside. We are going to come to NAC in our subsequent lessons. We'll have to create the first public subnet inside this VPC. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a public subnet. Okay, we have created a VPC, so let's go to subnet. Inside that VPC, where we are still in VPC, you discover that in VPC you have all those things here. So let's come to subnets. When you come to subnets, these are available subnets by default. Don't delete them. They don't have names, so don't delete them. Okay, so you create your own subnet. You put you select the VPC where you are creating your subnet. So we have our VPC one that we have just created. That is where we want to create our subnet. Okay, and then they will ask you to give the name of your subnet. This one is private public subnet 1, public subnet 1. As I say, you always copy everything and you keep, because you are building now an architecture. Well, what have I done? Name is better do it this way. Okay, subnet is private subnet 1. I copy this and then we paste here. Okay, now availability zones. you want to create this subnet in which availability zones? They are 1A, 1B, and 1C. Always create in 1A and 1B, 1C the steps at times, okay? Always create in 1A, public in 1A, private in 1B. You can create in the same one, it doesn't matter, but avoid 1C. So 1A, availability zone. Then now we come to where we have to give our, this is our VPC CIDR that is here. Don't change this one, it is your VPC CIDR. Now down here under subnet CIDR, under subnet CIDR is where you are going to give an address, a CIDR for the subnet. Look at something here. Here you give a CIDR for your VPC, meaning all the IP addresses that are in the VPC, both private and public, right? Both private and public. But now they are asking you how many IP addresses will be in the public. That is what they are asking you. You gave 16 here. Yeah, 16 is for the whole VPC. Now, for this public subnet, how many IP addresses do you want to put there? That is what they are asking you here. And here, I'm going to give 28. You must start with your VPC numbers. 28.15. These are your VPC number, 28.15, because here is your VPC number, 28.15. You cannot go and then you are inside a VPC and then you give a different number here. It doesn't work. If you give a different CIDR here, it doesn't work like that. Okay, because you are found inside this VPC, this subnet should have these same first two numbers, here. Okay, when it has the first two numbers, then now these zeros means the first zero means this one can contain 256 IPs and this other one can contain 256 IPs. That is why they are 00. You can count from here 1 to 256, and here you can, that means permutate, two permutation between 256 and 256 here. That is why we put 00 to make sure that they should be the maximum numbers here, 256, and the maximum number here, 256, that we can permutate. Okay, now at the level of our subnet, we are going to have the subnet CIDR, which is going to be, we are going to put 28.15 now 1.0, right? This means that 24. This means that we are going to take 28.15.1. This one has already offsetted the permutation that was in the VPC. Okay, and then you put now 24. All right, this 24 here means now that you are going to take 32 minus 24, which gives you 256. So you are saying that you want 256 IP addresses in your private subnet, 256. That's what we are going to give here. Good. We must have done that. I think you are okay to go. You create your public subnet. Is it public? Yeah, it is public, not private, please. Public. How did I put private? Okay, since we created private, let us just leave it at private. Okay, it is private, because you are going to ask me now the question, what is the difference between a private subnet and a public subnet? How do you make the difference? Because we have just created public. Okay, let's go and create, this is private, right? Let's go and create now public. Let's write our name, private, public subnet 1. This is the name of our second subnet that we want to create, which is now public. Let's go here, we create a subnet, we put the subnet inside our VPC, and then we come down to the name of our subnet is public subnet 1. Okay, we take availability zone 1B, and then we come now here. What is the IP address of our public subnet 1? I'm going to take the IP address, the CIDR, not IP address, please, CIDR, subnet CIDR is equal to 28.15. Now I can jump to 3, right? I can jump to 3.0/24. That means I'm also saying that this one should have 256. Okay, we know that the maximum number is 256 times 256, which will give us 56,000. So I'm going to take this one and I paste here, good, and I create. Now here is a question I want to ask you. We have just created a public subnet, I call it public, and we have just created a private subnet, I call it private. Question is, what is the difference between a public subnet and a private subnet? What makes a public subnet called public and a private subnet called private? This is public subnet, this is private subnet. So what is that thing that differentiates a public subnet from a private subnet? So this is where the difference will come in. Auto assign public IP address. Auto assign public IP address. You see, all of them are no. At this moment, at this particular time, irrespective of what I write here, all of them are private. Irrespective of these names that these are just names that I've given. Okay, these are just names. All of them are private at this moment. I can make any of them public. So what I'm saying is that when you create a subnet, the subnet comes as a private subnet. Somebody once asked me an interview question somewhere that what makes a subnet private and public? What is that thing that makes a sub? How do you render a subnet public? And how do you render a subnet private? The way to render a subnet public is by editing the subnet and changing the auto assign public IP to yes. Now it is no. Is it auto assign public IP? Is it auto assign public IP? It is no. These ones are yes. That means they are public. This one is no. That means it is private. So I want to make one public. So this is the one I want to make public. I click on it, the public one. When I click on it, I come now to actions. I come now to edit subnet settings, and then I come now to enable auto assign public IP address. I enable it. When I enable public assign public address, I save. Now this my subnet now has become a public subnet. My subnet now automatically becomes a public subnet. Take a look at the subnet. Let us come now to auto assign public IP address. It is now yes. Okay, my auto assign public IP address is now yes. So it means my subnet is now public. All right. Okay, where are we? we have created our VPC, we have created our public subnet, we have created our private subnet. Okay, now the next thing is, let us create an EC2 instance inside of our public subnet. Let us now create an EC2 instance inside of our public subnet, and we get into that EC2 instance. Let's continue our journey. We come now to instances. Okay, here we are going to launch instances. Let me call this one public EC2 web server. Generally, web servers are found in public subnets. I take a normal my Ubuntu server, a normal EC2 instance. Take the key pair. Now, guys, this is where you have to change things here. Networking settings. At first, you just used to come down and you click things. Now there is a magic number that you must click, because look at here, up here, when you used to come, you did not care to think about all these things here, right? Here it is already telling you that the VPC is the default VPC. The subnets are, everything is default here. That's why when you come here, you just select your security group and you go your way. Okay, right now there is this magic number, this magic bot here, edit. Whenever you want to put an EC2 inside a particular VPC, you must come to edit. Don't forget this, please. This is the magic button. The network settings have a button called edit. This is where you must come. Okay, if you don't come to edit, what you are creating here is going to go but to the default VPC, not to the VPC that you have created. Okay, so they will ask you a question: how do you ensure that the EC2 instance that you are creating is actually going into your VPC? The thing is, when you arrive at this network settings, go to edit. So if I click on edit, you see the option to change the VPC now comes here. I can now click on the VPC, the default. You see that there's a default here now, but this is our own VPC that we created, VPC 1. We click on VPC 1, right? Are we creating, when you choose VPC, the next thing is subnet. Which subnet do you want to create? You want to create in the public subnet. Public. Okay, we have created in the public subnet. You see, when you click on public, it tells you that auto assign public IP is enabled or just out of the box. Okay, now here I'm going to create a new security group. Okay, I'm going to create a new security group called VPC 1 VPC 1 hyphen public security group. Mark this security group. VPC 1 hyphen public security group is a security group for public resources. Okay, after creating my security group, now the next thing is I have to open my SSH port. The SSH port that is open is 22. Okay, which is but normal, our SSH port is open to 22. Now guys, here is where the issues come in. This source type that you always see here, all of you also have been seeing this source type. What is the meaning of this source type? I'll explain to you the meaning of this source type, but we are not going to use it now. We're going to use it in our next creation of our second EC2 instance. This source type, when you click on source type, you see custom, you see my IP. All right, it means that if you put anywhere, that means anybody from anywhere can access your EC2 instance from the SSH port 22, anybody from anywhere. If you put custom, you can decide which particular VPCs can access your EC2. If you put my IP, it means the IP of your physical machine that you are creating, the physical machine that you are using will be the one to access. But we'll come to that when we are going to be doing when we are going to be creating our database. So here we just have our SSH port 22 available, so we are going to be capable of actually getting into this SSH port. Okay, so clear, that is okay for us. We can now create our instance. Okay, let's create our instance. We did not give what here, description. Okay, public security group. Okay, all right, our instance has been created. Now where are we standing? Here is where we are standing. We have created a VPC. We have created a VPC. We have created a public subnet. We have created a private subnet, and we have created an EC2 inside a public subnet. Now let us create a database. We have created this EC2 inside this public subnet. Let us create a database inside this particular subnet. Okay, a database is a machine, a computer. Okay, let us try to see if we can create a database inside this subnet. Let us create a database inside a private. We have created a web server inside a public. Let us create a database inside a private. So we still go to our EC2 normally. Go to our EC2, we launch our instance. We give it database server, right? Now we take Ubuntu, and everything looks okay. Give our normal key pair to it. Our normal key pair. Go down. We edit, as I told you. We are creating VPC 1, and we are taking private subnet this time around. Private subnet. And our private subnet that we are taking, we are going to be create a security group, and that security group is our private VPC 1 private security group. Okay, that private security group is having an SSH port, right? It's having an SSH port, and now here is where the deal comes into place. This private security group that we are seeing here, like this private security group that we this database that we are creating, look at where the database is found. Let me show you where the database is found. Look at the database is found here. Can I have a pencil here, guys? Comment pencil. Okay, this database is found Sorry for my technical hitches, guys. This database is found in the private public subnet here. The database is found here. Okay, now as this database is found here, what is going to happen here? Damn it, you write when you want. The database is found here. Okay, now what is going to happen is that I don't want, as I said, I don't want somebody to have access to my database. No, I don't want somebody to have direct access to my database. I don't want. Okay, now what is in my mind? In my mind, the only thing I want is that for somebody to be able to have access to my database, that person must come from this very place, from this very public subnet. The person cannot come from outside. No, the person must come from this public subnet. So anything that has access to my database must come from this subnet. Okay, anything that has access to my database must come from this subnet. That is what I want, which means I don't want anybody from anywhere having access to this database. No way. For you to have access to this database, you must be found inside this subnet. Okay, you must be present inside the subnet for you to have access to this database. Okay, so only resources that are found in the public subnet can have access to this database. How do I do that? Here is where the configuration goes. Now, I have said yes, you can have access to the database. That is okay. You can have access to the database. That is but fine. The next thing that I want to say is that, but for you to have access to that database, I want to customize where you should be found. Okay, I want to customize where you should be found. You should be found in a particular CIDR block. And what is that CIDR block? You should be found in the public CIDR block. This one like this is the public CIDR block. You should be found there. If you are not found inside the public CIDR block, you should not have access to my database. I copy. I'll tell you the reason. Paste. You should be found inside my public CIDR, this one. That is the only place where I want you to be present in order for you to have to SSH into my database. That is okay by me. Right now, I can launch. I hope you understood what happened at the level of that security group. That is where the magic, that is where the decision comes in. That is where all your decisions will come in. Okay, that is where every decision that you really need configuration, that is where all comes in. Okay, here is a moment of truth. Now we have created this. We have created a database. We have created a web server. Now, how do we get internet access to this particular EC2 instance? Can we connect to this EC2 instance? By the way, let us try and see. Can we connect to this EC2 instance to our web server? This is our web server. Can we connect to our web server? Yes, we can connect to our web server. No, we cannot connect to our web server. Let us see. So our web server is public. This is the one. Go to connect as we usually do. We get the connection link, and then I open where the PEM file is stored. Here is where my PEM files are stored. This is the PEM file. I open my git bash here, and then from here now I can paste my PEM file, my connection login. we facing some issues? Are we facing some issues? I think we are facing some issues. You see, we cannot connect. Okay? You are unable to connect. Time out. They are logging you time out. What is happening? Look at where we are. Look at where we are. We have created our subnet EC2 and we have created our database. Okay, why are we unable to connect? Because these are always questions you should always ask yourself. I am trying to connect, I cannot connect. Why am I not trying to connect? In your case, there might be different reasons why you are not trying to connect. In our case, here is a reason why you are not trying to connect. As I was telling one of your classmates, our job is not always doing things perfectly. Before you see me doing all these things perfectly and presenting to you, I have practiced over and over before I can do it perfectly like this. In the real world, I don't do it this perfectly. I face so many problems before I finally get it right. Okay, so your job, your duty is the ability to fail and then troubleshoot and solve your problem. That is that is where your edge is. The ability to fail and then troubleshoot and solve your problem, or the ability for somebody to fail and then you come in and then you solve the problem of that person. And for you to arrive that level, you should be capable of knowing the various reasons why you may fail. That is why they say failure is the best way of teaching, because failure makes you know the various places that can make you fail, and for that you can correct it for other people, all right, and for yourself. So the first reason why you cannot connect to this EC2 instance is, number one, it is not having a route table. There is no route table associated to this subnet, to this public subnet. Okay, there's no route table, and because there's no route table, you cannot get in. The only way I'm using my physical machine to get into this machine in the remote environment is through internet. But now internet is not reaching here, so I cannot get in because I don't yet have the internet gateway and the route table. So I cannot get, there is no connection between me out here. This is where I am standing. There's no connection between me out here and this particular EC2 here, this one. There's no connection between me and this EC2. For this connection to happen, I need to create an internet gateway and a route table. Okay, and that's what we are going to do now. We are going to create an internet gateway and a route table to get into this EC2 instance here. All right, let's go create our internet gateway. So we come now here, we go to internet gateway. This is it here. This is the service here, internet gateway. We said it is the only service that gives us internet access. You see, there is a default internet gateway. Also, as I said, don't delete it, please. There's a default one. It doesn't have a name. Don't delete it. Okay. If you delete it, many people will not be capable of working without creating VPCs. So don't delete it when you finish practicing. Now I come to creating an internet gateway. I name the internet gateway VPC 1/internet gateway. Right? That's a VPC 1/internet gateway. That's all it is. I create my internet gateway. Now my internet gateway is created. I've just created an internet gateway. It is not yet attached to anybody. I've just simply created an internet gateway. It is hanging in the air. It's like I create an internet gateway here. I've created an internet gateway here. So I have to take this internet gateway and then I attach it to this VPC here. Alright, the VPC that we have created. So I've just simply created an internet gateway. Now to attach my internet gateway, I have to come to actions and then I say attach to VPC. Click attach to VPC, and then I select which VPC, VPC 1. Then I say attach internet gateway. Now my internet gateway is attached to my VPC. Okay, my internet gateway is attached to my VPC. Where are we standing? We are standing at this level. We have created an internet gateway that is attached to our VPC. We are still blocked, so we still need a route table to attach to our internet gateway. Okay, we need a route table to attach to our internet gateway. Okay, so we are going to create this route table. This is the idea. Create this route table, attach the route table to our public subnet, and then attach the route table to our internet gateway. Okay, create this route table, attach the route table to our to our public subnet, and attach it to our internet gateway. So let's go create our route table. We go to route tables, and then we come to create. As you see, there are route table, default route table. So you create your own route table. I name it VPC 1 public route. Right, then I choose a VPC where my route table is. It is VPC 1. Okay, now I can create my route table. My route table is created. Okay, as my route table is created, now I need to now link the route table to my subnet first. Link route table to my subnet. So I come to actions, edit subnet associations, and then I link it to public subnet. Okay, I'm linking the route table to public subnet because that is the subnet I want to get access to. I associate the route table there. Right, I come to actions again, and then I come to edit routes. Then I come to add routes. Now what am I linking the route table to? I'm linking my route table now to my internet gateway. Linking my route table to internet gateway. This is where I'm linking the route table. I choose internet gateway first. When I take internet gateway like this, it has not yet choose the internet gateway. I come inside here, I click here, then I'll see now the internet gateway, and then I choose it. Many of my students, they face a lot of problems at this level. When they come, this is what they do. Guys, this is what they do. They come here, they click here, and then they choose internet gateway, and then they go. And then they are trying to click, and then it tells you you cannot. It gives you an error. When you click on internet gateway, you come down here, you click inside here, then you choose your internet gateway. Okay, choose the internet gateway that you have just created. Okay, now this is a target. You are linking your route table to your internet gateway. Okay, where are we? We are trying to link this route table. Remember that we are linking the route table to our internet gateway. And when we link the route table to our internet gateway, what do? We say destination. Where is our destination? Put 0.0.0.0/0. It means destination is internet. We open to the internet. We see 0.0.0/0 means get open to the internet. Okay, so that is our destination. That is our process that we do here, and then we click save changes. All right, now it means that we have successfully linked from here to here to here. That means under normal circumstances, if I SSH now from here, I can get into my computer. So let me see. I SSH. Of course, yes, I'm getting to my computer now. Yes, and I get in. So I am capable of getting into my computer. All right, so guys, this is what we have with VPC. Now we have created a a VPC, we have created a subnet public, we have created a private subnet, we have created a web server, and then we have created a database, and then we have created internet gateway and route table to be able to have access to our web server. Question: Can we have access to this database? Is there a way by which we can have access to this database? The answer is no. You cannot have access to this database. This database, if you want to SSH to this database, you will not be capable of SSHing to the database. Even if you have all the qualities, even if I give you the internet access here, you will not SSH to this database. Even if I connect this to the internet, you will not have access to this database. You won't. The reason is why? Because of those configurations that we made at the level of the security group. The security group of this database only says that for anybody to have access to this database, that person must be placed inside this public IP, inside this public subnet. That is the rule. For you to have access to this database, you must first of all be placed inside this subnet. If you are not placed inside this subnet, you cannot have access to this database. So, the only way you can have access to this database is, number one, get a way to be inside the subnet. When you are inside the subnet, whatever thing you are inside the subnet through, you can get access to this database now with it. Okay? And that is going to lead us to our next topic, which we are going to call Bastion server. We are going to treat Bastion server. All right. So what is a Bastion server? A Bastion server is that particular server that is placed at the public subnet, which we are going to use to get access to our database. This is the Bastion server. A Bastion server is just a normal EC2 instance. It's just a normal EC2 instance that we are going to create. This one, remember that this one is our web server. It contains our website address and everything. So you will not be SSHing through to this one. It is going to be made available online. So we are going to create a Bastion where anybody that wants to have access to this Bastion should now get access to our database. Okay, you can see it is pointing to the DBA. Question is, why should you want to get access to a database? What do you need inside a database? The only person that should have access to a database is a database administrator. That is the only person, because he is the one that gets into the database and change things inside the database. Only him alone. So this is security for you. Okay, this is security for you. When you get into a company, they will always tell you that the architecture was done by DevOps and cloud architect engineers. So you are the one to understand this architecture. If you don't understand this architecture, the security of the company fails. This architecture has to be understood very well, and you have to be capable of manipulating it. Okay, you have to be capable of manipulating the architecture. Because here is what they are telling you. They say, Mr. Paul, we want you to make it such a way that only our DBA can have access to our database, and nobody again. If there is anything inside this database, they should hold our DBA responsible. Nobody should be capable of having access to this database. That is what they tell you. That is how they will tell you. So what are you going to do? How are you going to do that? Only the DBA should have access to this database. Because if we try, let us try. There's nothing bad in trying. Here is our database. Here is our database. This is our database here. Let's try to connect. We're trying to connect to our database normally, as we used to connect. You can stay here for the rest of your life, you will never get in. Okay, you can stay here for the rest of your life, you will never get in. Why are you not getting in? Because this particular machine is found inside a private subnet. The machine is found inside a private subnet. Yes, you have the key to that machine. You do have the key. You have the key to that machine, but you cannot get in. There is no way that you can get in. And the reason why you cannot get in is because during our configuration, we told this security group to receive connection only from instances that are in the public subnet. I hope you still remember how to do that, because that is the most essential thing. Tell your database to receive connection only from instances that are situated in the public subnet. I hope you are capable of doing that. Now, the next thing is we are going to create a bastion server, and creating that bastion. What is our problematic? Here is our problematic. We are going to make it such that only the DBA have access to the database. That is our problematic. Nobody else will have access to the database, only the DBA. That is what we are going to do. So the first thing is create the bastion server, number one. While creating the bastion server, we are going to configure it such that only the DBA can have access to the bastion server and nobody else. So let's go create the bastion server. So we launch our EC2 instance. And we call it bastion server. It's an Ubuntu server normally. We give it our normal key pair. And now here is the moment of truth. We are going to put it in VPC 1, and we're going to put it in the public subnet, right? And then we are going to create a security group for it. We call that security group Bastion Security Group. Bastion Security Group. Now, here is the moment of truth. Remember our problematic. Our problematic says that we should tell this bastion that only the DBA can have access to the bastion. Nobody else. Only the DBA. Good. Now, this is how to tell the bastion that only the DBA should have access to you. Number one, the first thing is, bastion, please accept SSH login. That one is guaranteed. That's the first thing. The second one, source. Where is this SSH coming from? Is the meaning of source. Where is this your SSH coming from? And then it's going to say my IP. That is the magic. When you say my IP, then you call the DBA and ask the DBA, please give me your ID, IP of your machine, of your physical laptop. DBA, give me the IP of your physical laptop. Okay, the DBA should have a physical laptop, like a physical laptop. In this my laptop, look at this IP address. If I come to there's a way of looking for my IP address. If I come to Google, and I see my IP. What is my IP? This website will tell me my IP. Okay, they are going to tell me which IP address I am using. So this is the IP. Okay, this is the IP of my physical machine, my own machine. This is my IP address of my laptop itself. Okay, so when you come to the DBA here, when you come here, when you come here, a lot of adverts. When you come here and you choose my IP, look at what happens here. When you choose my IP, the AWS captures your IP address of your physical machine directly and put /32. Remember, /32 means that what? That is the only one. Remember that we said that when you put an IP address, let me take my own IP address, which is 91.168.231/32, right? It means that what? It means I'm saying that the number of IP addresses that can get access to my database is 32 minus 32, which is equal to 0, right? And when you take 2 raised to the power 0, where is it, the raised to the power symbol? Even I can get it, it's somewhere here. 2 raised to the power 0. If you take 2 raised to the power 0, the answer is 1. I hope my mathematicians know this. 32 minus 32 is equal to 0. 2 raised to the power 0 is 1. That means only one IP address can have access to this machine. Okay? You want to confirm? Maybe some people are doubting that 2 raised to the power 0 is 0. 2 raised to the power 0 equals 1. Okay, some people may be thinking that 2 raised to the power 0 is 0. No, it is 1. And it means that only one IP, when I put /32, that means 32 minus 32, which is 0. 2 raised to the power 0 is 1. Means only one IP address can have access to that database. That means here only the DBA's address will have access to the Bastion server. Okay, so whatever address I put here, so here is where you then ask the DBA to give you his IP address. When the DBA gives you his IP address, you put here. That means only the DBA have access to the Bastion and nobody else. Okay, that is how you do it, and then you launch your instance. This place is very important, please. If you fail here, you don't know what you're doing. Okay, it's the most important place here. You fail here, you don't know what you're doing. You launch. Now, in the whole wide world, only me alone can have access to that Bastion server, because it is only my IP address that is listed there. Only me alone have access to that Bastion server that I've just created. Okay, only me alone. So here is the Bastion. Now I have to get into the Bastion. I can copy the link to the Bastion, right? And then I get in. Yes, I get in with no man business, but nobody can get in like the way I'm getting in. Okay, all right. Now I am inside this Bastion. The question remains that, okay, now that you are inside this Bastion, how will you get into your database? I am inside my bastion. Yes. How will you get into your database? This is your bastion. How can you get into your database? Here is where you are. You have successfully, as your DBA, you have successfully gotten in here. And the rule of this guy says, for you to get to me, you have to be present here. Now, you are present here. So how will you get into this guy? That is the question. The way of reasoning this, because remember I told you that IT is all about intellectual reasoning. The way of reasoning this thing is very simple. First of all, ask yourself, how did I get into the bastion? That is a question you should ask yourself. How did you get into the bastion? In order to get into the bastion, you opened a location where your key pair was found, and you opened a git bash there from that location, right? This is what you did in order to get into the bastion. You open this location. See, this git bash is pointing you to this location. So you open this location and then you pasted this connection here. Where is it? Is it? You pasted this connection here. This is what you did in order to get in, right? Remember very well, that is what you did in order to get into this bastion. Now, the first normal layman's way of reasoning is, okay, if this is the way I got into the bastion, then I can also still use the same way and get into the database. Of course, yes, that is true. So the answer, the worry now is, do you have git bash inside here? No, you don't have git bash inside there. Do you have this your PEM key inside there? No, you don't have this your PEM key inside there. Remember that the first thing you did was you went to where your PEM key was located. This is my PEM key, is located here. I went here, I opened git bash from here, which means that git bash is now pointing to where my PEM keys are located. These are the PEM keys. That's where git bash is pointing. Okay, so I could navigate to that location manually, but when I just open git bash from there, it opens directly from that location. All right, so how can I get, what is the use of git bash? First of all, let us ask this question, because these are the normal questions that you should ask yourself. What is the use of git bash, by the way? What is the use of git bash? The use of git bash is just to give you an easy way of navigation. Okay, I could still use my normal terminal in Windows. I could still use my CMD terminal. I could still call CMD command prompt, and I enter through command prompt and I log into my system. Okay, when I'm in command prompt here, being in command prompt here now like this, here like this, is the same like being inside this EC2 instance here like this. Here I am in my normal command prompt, is the same like being inside this EC2 instance. So git bash just simply gives you a beautiful way of moving around. Okay, so if I want to connect to my EC2 instance, how should I do? From the command line, I should just simply navigate to where my key pair is stored. Okay, I should just simply navigate to where my key pair is stored. And where is my key pair stored? Here is where my key pair is stored. This is where my key pair is stored. How do I copy the address where my key pair is stored? I just come up here, I right click here, I copy the address. I come to my Windows here, I write CD and I paste it, right? And when I press enter, now I am pointing towards where my key pair is stored. So if I come now and I copy the connection link from here, if I copy the connection link from here for let me copy the connection link for where we can log in. We can log into the public machine. if I copy the connection link for the public machine, like this one, I can be able to log in to this database, to this machine through my normal CMD, right? I can be able to log in. You see, I'm logged in. So what is Git Bash? Git Bash is just a tool that gives you, it's just a client. Remember that when you come here, they will tell you that you are using SSH client. You know the meaning of a client? Something that helps you to do something. It leads you. It's a client. In IT, a client is something that is placed in front of you that you use it to have access to something. So this is a client. You could still connect directly through the internet from here. Okay, this is just a client. So Git Bash is just a client. Okay, so the question I was asking is, if we can connect to our Bastion through Git Bash by pointing to where our key pair is located, then the only thing is that we should make sure to send this key pair into this Bastion. If we can be capable of sending this key pair, our key pair that we are using here, because honestly speaking, the Bastion, let's go to the Bastion and see. The Bastion, no, the database, please. The database, what is the key pair of the database? This is the key pair of the database. This is the key pair of the database. Here, is it here? Okay, that's the key pair of the database. So there are, the only thing I need to do now is send this key pair from outside here. The key pair is found in my local machine. How can I transfer this key pair from this local machine into my Bastion? Transfer the key pair from local machine into my Bastion, and then navigate to where the key pair is located, and then from there now I can have access to my Bastion. That is the theory. Okay, so I will teach you two ways of transferring the key pair to your Bastion. There are two ways. Let me give you the first way, which I know is going to help you in in DevOps, where you might need to transfer so many things. The first way is using a client called WinSCP. There is a client. There's a client called, I think we treated WinSCP, right? There's a client called WinSCP. So you just come to WinSCP download, right? It's a normal this is the address, the website. You come to that website. When you open that website, I already have the program downloaded. You just come to that website and you download it from here. You click download, it will start downloading. Okay, when you download it, you just install it. It's a normal application that you just click next, and you install. Okay, when you install it, it will open like this. You have it here like that. This WinSCP. I've already downloaded it in my machine, so you have it here. So we can close this to maximize our memory space. Okay, this is WinSCP, right? This is how it comes. Okay, the first thing is the host name. What is the host name? The host name of WinSCP. What are you trying to connect? We are struggling to connect to our Bastion server. We want to transfer a key pair that we have outside in our machine. We have to transfer that key pair to our Bastion server, right? That's what we are struggling to do. So the first thing is, what is the public IP of this Bastion server. Let's copy the public IP of our Bastion. This is our public IP of our Bastion, and that will be our host name. Okay, the username is Ubuntu. The password is the key pair itself. You'll go to where the location of the key pair is, click on authentication, come down to click on these 3 dots. Now there is something that you need to do here. You are not going to transfer okay, then now when you come here, you are not going to transfer the PPK, you are going to transfer the PEM. Okay, you're going to transfer the PEM, not the PPK, because when you come here, you are going to see PPK here, so you have to change it from down here, from PPK to all files, so that PEM can come up. Okay, open PEM. No, you are not yet transferring, please. Excuse me, this is what you're going to do. Before you open, we are not yet transferring, we are still trying to open the linkage. Okay, we are still trying to open the linkage. Now you do not open this thing with your PPK. If you with your PEM, if you try to open with the PEM, let's try to open with PEM and see if it works. I tried with PEM and it did not work. This is your key pair PEM. Open. You see the key pair does not work. Okay, PEM does not go. Okay, so it wants PPK. And for you to convert from your PEM to your PPK, I hope all of you know it. To convert from PEM to PPK, you use PuTTY. All right, you convert your key pair from PEM to PPK, you use PuTTY. If you don't have PuTTY, you go and download PuTTY. Okay, you just go to PuTTY download, you will see PuTTY. It will convert your PPK file, your PEM to PPK. Always name your PPK the same as PEM. If you don't know how to convert from PEM to PPK, guys, let me just do it. Okay, I think some people do not know. Let me just do it. Firstly, you need your the first thing you have to do is you need PuTTY. This is PuTTY. You can just go online and type PuTTY. You will download PuTTY. Okay, you need PuTTY. Now, when you come, you download PuTTY and PuTTYgen. Okay, this is PuTTYgen. Okay, you are going to need but PuTTYgen to convert from your PEM to your PPK. So you open PuTTYgen. When you open PuTTYgen, this is what you do. PuTTYgen opens. Okay, the first thing you do is you come to load. When you come to load, right, it opens up. You then choose your PEM. You come here, you change it from here to all files, and then you choose your PEM file. This is your PEM. Take PEM, and then you choose open. Okay, it opens like this, and then you click OK, and then you say save private. You save key. Are you sure you want to save the key? Yes. And then it will come that you should give the name of your key. Let me just give it maybe Air France /PPK. No, Air France. It will give me the .pem. Okay, so I save now. Save. That's all. I've converted from PEM to PPK. So if I open now my keys, I will see an Air France PPK. This is a key now that I want, right? And I can use now that one in order to get in. But remember, I've named this one differently, but always name your PPK the same name like your PEM. Always give your PPK the same name like your PEM. That means the difference should be just .pem or .ppk. Look at my own Air France to .pem, Air France to .ppk. Always give the same name. It's important. Okay. Right. Now, when you do that, now you come to your WinSCP. You then at your WinSCP, you put your host name. You put Ubuntu, then you come for password, you choose your PEM, your PPK that you have just created. Click advanced, come to authentication, click the 3 dots here. Then you come now to take your PEM, your PPK file, you open, and then you click OK, log in. Now you are logged in. It is possible now for you to transfer files. The left side is your normal computer. This is my normal computer. The right side is the EC2 instance in the cloud. So in my normal computer, you can browse from here, browse everything from here. So I have already browsed to my file. Okay, this is my file, but your own, you might when you log in, you might be located here. This is where everybody, when you log in, you are located always. Okay, now in order to browse to where my file is located, at in desktop. So I click here, come here, I click on desktop. Here's where my file is located. It's located in downloads. I click on desktop, and then I click on the file Azure keys, and I see airfrance.pem. Now you are not transferring the PPK. Remember, the PPK is just used to log into WinSCP, but now the file that you are transferring is the PEM, not the PPK. The PEM. Transfer the PEM like that. Just click, hold, and drag. The PEM comes here. It is already now inside your EC2 instance. So if I go now to my EC2 instance, and I press run ls, I'm going to see it here. Here it is. It is located here. Okay. So if I run ls, here is the PEM. Okay. And then if I say bring working directory, I see that my PEM is found in home/Ubuntu. Okay, home/Ubuntu. Okay, so all I need to do is from here now I can run my my command, my connection command. Where am I, guys? I am here like this. I have already logged into my bastion. From the bastion, I want to log in now to the database. Okay, the first thing is I come to the database. Where is the database? Here is the database. Here you are. Come to connect, and then I click on you, and then I come back now to where I have already logged into my database. I click here, I put in here. Why am I putting it here? Because that is where my key pair is located. My key pair is located here. So I'm pasting this connection here because my key pair is located there, and my key pair is named the same. Look at the name of my key pair. It is named the same like here. All right. So I press enter. Yes. And I am now in my database. Oh, did I get in? My permission got denied. Why did my permission got denied? Okay, this is how it happens. So let us start seeing how we can debug why the permission got denied. The permission got denied because it is required that your private key files are not accessible by others. Okay, for those of you who started DevOps with me, you know what it means by changing the file system, the file, how do they call it? The how do I call it again? The file permissions. Okay, you have to give permission to owners, give permission to others, and give permission to groups, right? So this key that I've just transferred here has all the permissions open. Okay, so I have to restrict permission just to the owners for execution. So for that, in order to change the permission of this one, I have to run change mode 400. I hope you understand the meaning of these numbers. I explained it very well in our beginning. 400, and I copy the name of the file and I paste here. And I run. I hope it has changed the mode now. So it has changed the security. Now let me try logging in. And now I am in. So I am into the database. So how do you know that I am into the database? This is the IP of the database, but where is the IP where we started from? Look at the IP where we started from. The IP was 28.15.3.241. Now we are in which IP? We are in the IP 28.15.1.13. We have logged into our database. Now as the DBA, I have logged into this database. Okay, I can be the one now to manipulate inside this database, and me alone. Nobody can have access to this database but me alone, right? If anything goes wrong in this database, I am responsible. Nobody. So in movies, you will hear somebody says that the database is located in this place, this place, this place, and the only person that have access to the database is this particular person. And they will set a whole movie behind getting the computer of that person, because you must get the computer of that person before you are able to log into that database. You must log in from his computer. Okay, this is the ideology behind the security measures that we are putting in place. Okay, so is this database having network? Let us try and see. Apt update. No way, you can never update. Let's go to super user and then we update. Apt update. No way, no way, you can never have access to the internet. You connect and connect, you can never have access to the internet. So how the database can have access to the internet, or how machines in private subnet can have access to the internet, will be our next lesson. Okay guys, I know I have put much content in this video. I think you guys should practice it and practice it more often, over and over, and make sure you understand what you're doing, why you're doing what you're doing, and make sure everything works very well for you before you master what you're doing. So this it is not updating, please. It tells you that failed. Everything is failing, because this database does not have access to the internet. We are going to see how we can put access to the database. So guys, practice over and over and over. So we covered a lot. We covered VPC, we covered Subnet, we covered Internet Gateway, we covered Route Table, we covered NAT Gateway, we covered Bastion Servers, and we have covered everything, virtually everything with VPC. So practice this over and over and over. I hope I was very clear in explaining certain things. If you can't understand anything, come to our WhatsApp group, say what you want to say there. For those of you that are not in our batch, leave a comment on the comment section. I will always respond to you. Okay, happy learning guys. See you in our next session. Bye bye.